See if we can keep from doing this without blowing everybody out of their seat. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Sugar Land City Council meeting for Tuesday, March the 4th. A little bit about our agenda tonight. In a minute, Councilmember Jennifer Lane is going to lead us in the invocation. That's going to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to invite our friends from Dulles Elementary, and I'll introduce them when they come down. Then we'll have two recognitions. One is the Sugar Land Citizens Fire Academy, class number 22. I think that's where most of the people are coming from right now. Chief, you've made a good showing here. And then we've got the City of Sugar Land Cigna Healthy Workforce designation, and I think we've earned the gold designation. So at this time, Jennifer, would you like to lead us in the invocation?
Hello. Today is actually a holy day in the Catholic Church and other Christian churches. It is Shrove Tuesday. It's a day of reflection, preparing ourselves for 40 days of reflection, of service work, forgiveness, and repentance. And as I am Catholic, I'm going to pray a prayer of protection for our law enforcement because they're going to be dealing with Mardi Gras tonight, all the partiers. But it's really a holy day, a Christian holy day. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Jennifer. And now we're going to do the pledge to the nation's flag and to the Texas flag. And we have our guests with us tonight. We have Roberta Major, and Roberta is the fourth grade teacher and NEHS advisor. And what is NEHS? That's the Dulles Elementary chapter, is to recognize outstanding academic achievement and demonstrate personal responsibility. The members provide meaningful service to the school and community, as well as develop essential leadership skills within both campus and community. We have with us Ms. Ava Patel, Silo Dago, Christian Lewis, Yareli Katillo, and Jana Singh. And if I could get all of you to please come down here, please. Who wants the microphone? There we go. And then we've got the nation's flag here. Why don't, if you'll lead us in the pledge to the nation's flag. Flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Now we'd come down, let's get a picture. Thank you. Council members, y'all want to come down? I think it'll be easier. Our next recognition is the Sugar Land Citizen Fire Academy, class number 22. Chief Campisi, if you'll come down, please. My goodness. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce everybody.
Okay, right on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council. Class 22, congratulations. Tonight, the last few council meetings we've tried to come to, we tried to bring a number of crews with us, but we got Ladder 4 with us tonight. And you guys don't recognize this, but there's a lot of police department that came here to support you guys tonight as well. I am on. It's not at all. We're one team. I am honored to serve the men and women of the Sugar Land Fire Department. And one thing I'll tell you is that this community loves our fire department, and we feel that love. We feel that support from everybody. And it's great that there's such a natural love for us and support, but only a handful of people get to go through what you guys did through the Citizens Fire Academy and actually put some gear on, put your hands on the ropes, put your hands on the ladders, get on your hands and knees, crawl, feel some heat, things of that nature. And so it went by really fast. I feel like I just addressed you the first night, and I missed a few, and I think I missed most of them. But the field day was awesome to see you all engaged out there. And so I appreciate you taking that extra step to get to know the fire department. Many of y'all have been through the Police Assistance Police Academy. That's amazing too. And if you haven't, that should be your next step, because it's through the support of folks like you that we're able to feel so good about the work that we do and know that you have our backs. And so I want to introduce Captain Scott Bowerman. He's in the Community Risk Reduction Division, and he oversees this program for us. And then Chief Serrano over CRR and Chief Schultz are here as well as, like I said, Ladder 4 and Chief Vaughn. So without further ado, let's get you graduated and recognize you officially. Thank y'all.
Am I reading it? Yes, I am.
There you go, buddy.
Here we go.
Okay, take these out.
There we go. Get the readers out.
Okay, Sharon Barbosa. Chris Berthold. Terry Brown. Miguel Cantu. Andrea Carranza. Ron Cordet. Martin Daniels. Megan Gornett. Terry Gornett. Eranemo Gutierrez. Carol Hill. Emirates Oquendo. Kyle Perez. Smita Shah. Mustafa Vavra. Joseph Wilson. Mark Winters. And Megan Winters.
That's a pretty exclusive club.
It is. It's a great club. Big crew right here.
Council members, I'm just going to get y'all to stand up behind us. If I could get everybody here, yes, ma'am. Let's hold on for just a minute. We've got someone who wants to make a comment. Yes, ma'am.
So I, on behalf of the CFA class number 22, we wanted to give you a little bit of context on what we went through these last 8 weeks, an amazing 8 weeks that we just completed. We did a lot. We learned a lot. We learned CPR. We learned how to pack wounds and stop the bleed. We learned all the different stages of a fire. We learned the importance of building codes and sprinkler systems. We learned how to tie a lot of different types of knots. We got to cut up cars, which was a lot of fun. We learned how to climb lots of different ladders and go through second and third story windows, including the 105-foot truck ladder from engine 4. We also did ride-alongs with the fire department. Those were good days for the city of Sugar Land because most of us had 0 calls those days. We got to do a search and rescue in full gear in a very dark, smoky building where we were to find a victim and pull them to safety. Or if you're me, you tripped over the victim on your hurry to get out the door. But most importantly, we learned how incredibly hard the job of the Sugar Land Fire Department is. It's a very hard job, very exciting. If I were a little bit younger and a whole lot less clumsy, I might be considering a job change, but that's not in the cards for me. So I'll just have to admire them from the sidelines. But I want to thank Captain Bowerman for leading our program and guiding us. I'd like to thank the Sugar Land City Council for supporting us to make this possible, giving us this amazing glimpse into this community. And most importantly, I'd like to thank the Sugar Land Fire Department, the men and women that protect us every single day. And the days that you guys came to teach us, no matter how many hours you had worked or what you had been through that day, you guys showed up every time with enthusiasm and excitement, and it was such an honor to be part of this group. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to try not to take too long. All right, first of all, I want to say a huge thank you to the entire fire department and all of the instructors who made the Citizen Fire Academy possible. I think I speak for everyone in class 22 when I say this was an unforgettable experience. So when I signed up, I thought we'd be learning about fire safety, seeing some of the equipment, and just sitting through a few presentations. But from the very first session, it was clear that this was going to be way more hands-on and way more fun than I expected. I found myself genuinely looking forward to every single class. I learned so much throughout this program, like how to properly use a fire extinguisher. Believe it or not, that was my first time using one. Now that I have, I feel at least a little more confident that if I ever need to use one, I won't completely panic. Perhaps my favorite class, and certainly the most eye-opening for me, was the one on extrication, where we watched the firefighters absolutely demolish a car. It turns out they're very good at it, and they seem to really enjoy doing it. So if you're ever trapped in a vehicle, I can confidently say you won't be for long. Not with the toolkit they have, and definitely not with the enthusiasm they bring. Of course, seeing the firefighters tear a car apart was exciting, but that was in class. And one of the highlights of the program was the chance to see them in action on real calls as a ride-along. Unfortunately, my ride-along shifts weren't action-packed. They were not to be uttered Q word, quiet. But I still had a blast because while we waited, the firefighters gave me a tour of the firehouse, and we also played games. In contrast, the field days were jam-packed. It was exciting to use the tools to literally learn the ropes, climb the ladder, see a live burn, and wear the gear, even though the smallest pants they had were a size 38. The live burn, that was something else. Seeing the layer of smoke curling above my head and feeling how hot it was. It's one thing to hear about the condition firefighters willingly walk into to keep the rest of us safe. It's another thing to experience even a fraction of it. What y'all do is truly inspiring. So to all the firefighters, instructors, and staff, thank you for your time, your patience, and your humor. Thank you for giving us a glimpse into what it takes to do your job. Y'all truly made this both educational and entertaining. I'm leaving this program with new knowledge, a better understanding of what you do, and a deeper respect for the dedication and effort you put in every day.
Thank y'all. Our next recognition is Cigna Healthcare, the Healthy Workforce designation, and we've, I guess, earned a gold. I'm going to ask Chandra Holmes to come down, our People Experience Manager, Jasmine Jones, our Health and Wellness Coordinator, People and Culture, Courtney Peel, Engagement and Experience Coordinator, People and Culture, Francis Reyes, our Engagement Consultant with Cigna Healthcare, and Margaret Cresswell, our Cigna Engagement Academy Rep with Cigna Healthcare. Chandra.
Thank you, Mayor. For those of you that don't know a lot about our division, we're with Wellness and Engagement. So we are charged with helping the employees with their health care and overall well-being goals, and also just to keep them engaged, which in turn helps them serve the community at their highest capacity. And so that's a little bit about what we do. And I wanted to turn it over to Margaret and Francis. They had a few words.
We're so honored. My name is Margaret Cresswell. I'm Vice President of Sales for Cigna, and so honored to share this award with the City of Sugar Land. We only provide this designation for a few select employers, and we recognize employers who really care about their employees' health and well-being and their sense of vitality. There are 3 levels to this designation. There's bronze, silver, and gold. And we're honored that the City of Sugar Land has achieved the gold designation. It's a huge honor, huge accomplishment. To provide you a little more context, there are fewer than 10 employers in the Houston area that have received this designation this year, and even fewer that achieve the gold designation. And what it really shows is that the City of Sugar Land cares about its employees' health, and that's also a reference to just the health of the community as well, the impact that's made there. So we're happy to recognize you.
Hi, my name is Francis Reyes. I am the engagement consultant. I work hand in hand with Chandra with all of her engagement and wellness initiatives. And it's truly a great honor to be here today to present Chandra and her team the Gold Healthy Workforce designation. And I have an award here for them to present. Good job, team. Good job.
And we have a proclamation. The City of Sugar Land recognized its 2024 Cigna Healthy Workforce designation, March 4th of 2025. Whereas the City of Sugar Land is dedicated to fostering a workforce environment that prioritizes the health and well-being of its employees, Cigna Healthcare has recognized this commitment by selecting the City of Sugar Land as a recipient of the 2024 Gold Level Healthy Workforce designation. And whereas this prestigious designation is awarded to organizations that demonstrate a strong dedication to improving employee health and vitality through comprehensive workplace well-being programs. Organizations recognized with this designation set the standard of excellence for organizational health and vitality, reinforcing the City of Sugar Land's position as a leader in employee wellness initiatives. And whereas the Cigna Healthy Workforce designation evaluates organizations based on key components of their well-being programs, including leadership and culture, program foundations and execution, policies and accommodations, and other vital areas given by my hand this date. Chandra, do you? Nope. Oh, sorry about that. Council members, why don't we come down? We're going to move on now to item number 2, public comment. Anybody that wants to speak on one of the active agenda items, you're welcome to do so at this time. Limit will be to 3 minutes. There'll be no limit on the number of people. Anyone, active items only. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. We're going to move on to item number 3, consent agenda. All these items are going to be taken as one motion unless the council member wants to pull an item. I'm going to pull item number A. At this time, we're going to take items B through L. Do I have a motion to approve? Got a motion by Lane. Do I have a second? Second. Got a second by Ferguson. You'll vote this time, please. And it passes unanimously, 7-0. We're going to move now to item number 3A. First and final consideration. Consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land ordinance number 2370. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget for the City of Sugar Land, Texas, to provide for a transfer of debt payments from hotel occupancy taxes to the Sugar Land Development Corporation, Type A, sales tax, and that this amendment be adopted as the budgeted amount for those funds. We have with us Shalay Stedman, our Director of Budget. Shalay?
Hello, Council. I don't have a presentation on this, but quite simply, we're just taking the funds that we are using to pay for the bonds we created when we started Smart Financial and moving them to our 4A fund, allowing us to have more flexibility with our HOP funds.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Got a second by Karmali? By Nashad? You'll vote this time, please. Bless you. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Sly. Item number 4, contracts and agreements. 4A, consideration of an action on authorization of a contract with River North Transit, LLC, in the amount of $1,527,969 for a micro-transit service pilot program. Approval of an exception to Resolution 1029 to allow for limited usage of the city logo for this project to include vehicle wraps, the service app, and marketing of the service online and in print format. Authorization of the city manager sign on behalf of the city for the purpose of publishing Sugar Land on demand to the Google Play Store for the service app. And authorization of a budget amendment in the amount of $5,082,528 to revenues and expenditures. We have with us Melanie Beeman, our Transportation and Mobility Manager. Melanie.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's too bad so many people left because this is a really exciting project that I've worked 2 years to bring to launch. I always forget, do I control the slide? With the mouse or the arrows? Okay, sorry, it's been a while. So just as a reminder, what is microtransit? Well, this is going to be the first of its kind on-demand microtransit service in the Gulf Coast region. So that in itself is very exciting. It's strictly day of scheduling. It's a shared mobility service. It operates within a 18 square mile service area zone in Central Sugar Land. The fleet will consist of 3 hybrid wheelchair accessible minivans and 5 fully electric sedans. It's a service to the community that's convenient, easy to use, safe and reliable, and is inexpensive. Fares will be $2, and then additional passengers can ride along for $1 each. This is a map of the pilot service area. You can see some of the points of interest, such as the medical facilities, major shopping areas, Fort Bend Transit's 2 park and rides, and the Sugar Land Regional Airport. So again, this is 18 square mile service area zone. The population is about 43,000 residents. The hours will be Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday service from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So this will be a fully turnkey service with this service provider that we're wanting to contract with. Everything is included. Vehicle routing, real-time scheduling system, so all the software, all of the hardware, the mobile rider app for booking trips and fare payment, and people can also observe where the vehicle is to see how fast it'll be to their location, sort of like DoorDash. You can watch it coming. There's a dedicated phone line for riders without access to a smartphone. Vehicles, drivers, their training, their onboarding, all of that is included. Technical and operational support, marketing, branding and outreach, and data sharing and reporting. The pilot project duration, the initial term will be 12 months following the launch date, which right now is March 18th, which is right around the corner. So it'll be through March 18th of next year. It's subject to 2 one-year extensions by mutual agreement between the service provider and the city. And the scope could be modified in years 2 and 3 based on the data we collect. If it's not serving where people want to go, we can expand it or we can make changes to the scope. The service provider was selected through a formal RFP process, which was published September 11th of 24 and was open until October 4th of 24. We received 5 proposals. We put together an internal evaluation team, and the selection was completed in 2 phases. The first phase was based on 7 merit criteria that we worked with Data and Innovation to come up with. Project approach, work plan, schedule, how fast they could get this service launched for us, team qualifications and composition. Are they going to be able to collect the type of data we'd like to have? And are we going to have access to the reports, agility of the service, quality control, performance monitoring? Customer service was a big one because we know Sugar Landers demand really high quality services. Project completeness and quality, and then of course the cost and partnership suggestions to keep the service ongoing. So in phase 2, we interviewed the top 2 proposers. We had them come in to town hall and we interviewed them face to face. And the committee selected River North Transit, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Via Transportation. That's just their state of Texas operational name. A review of the funding that we're getting, because this is 100% funded, not through the city, but through grants and mobility bond. So we're getting 3 years of funding through HGAC. It's a CMAQ grant, which is Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program. Federal grants are almost always an 80-20 split. So the federal grant money for the entire 3 years comes to $3,582,528. The 20% local match for the 3 years would be $895,632. Resolution 2442 was approved back in August 26th of 2024, which was that agreement. Fort Bend County, in their 2023 mobility bond, the voters approved $1.5 million toward this project, which can be used for our local match portion and service expansion, so we can pivot and we can make it bigger if we need to. And that interlocal agreement was approved by the County Commissioners Court November 26, 2024. And the contract amount for this first year with the service provider is $1,527,969. So welcome to Sugar Land On Demand. This is the logo for the service that we worked with communications to get the stylized crown. Via is the service provider. That's what the app would look like on your phone. You're going to schedule a trip or make payment. And then the on-demand, the blue, is what the little icon on your phone would look like. This is what the vehicle wraps will look like. Again, it's got the stylized crown is the logo. And then we wanted to put the city emblem on the vehicle so that people understand that this is a service provided by the city. This is not just some taxi cab that's operating in the city that's calling themselves Sugar Land On Demand. It's actually a city-funded project. But we wanted it to be small enough so people don't confuse city vehicles and complain about a pothole, and the driver's like, no, I don't do that. And we have a marketing and promotion plan, which we're working with the service provider for, to launch a targeted awareness digital campaign on social media to help us spread the word to key stakeholders, such as the medical facilities, the university, the shopping centers, community outreach with these partner organizations, and then communication to local press, a press release, of course. All this in an effort to educate, activate, and return riders for the service. So again, we worked with data and innovation to come up with some metrics. These are all things that we can easily get from this project. Reductions in traffic congestion, what would that look like? Enhanced mobility for people who don't drive, increased commuter bus use, because we'd be going to the 2 park and rides so people can use this service to get into Houston. Reductions in single occupancy vehicle use and increased satisfaction with city services. So I'm asking for 4 things. It's a lot, but so approve the execution of a service contract with River North Transit and the maximum contract amount of $1,527,969 for 1 year for the microtransit service pilot project. Number 2, to make an exception to Resolution 10-29 to allow for usage of the city logo for this project only, including marketing assets, online and in print form, and vehicle wraps, because we really think it's important for people to understand this is a city service. It's our service. Number 3, to authorize the city managers to sign on behalf of the city for the purpose of publishing Sugar Land On Demand to the Google Play Store for the service app. And then lastly, to authorize a budget amendment in the amount of $5,082,528 to expenditure and revenue for the total 3 years, so we don't have to come back every year to ask for that. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Question, Stuart?
Thank you, Mayor. Melanie, I was trying to make the numbers add up to $5,082,000, but I couldn't. Could you explain that number, please?
That's why I had those numbers highlighted in yellow here. So that's the money, the federal grant money and the mobility bond money. So those 2 numbers make
Carol.
that total.
Thank you, Mayor. So how is the pilot project area determined?
We looked at where most people are trying to get to. Most of the shopping centers are included, the airport, the university, the park and rides. And we also looked at census data to find out where the most elderly, disabled, low-income folks live in the city, because those would be the people most likely to use the service on a regular basis.
Okay, so the second question. So if someone's going from point A to point B, is it just that person or that group, or can it pick up someone else on the way?
It could pick up people along the way. That's sort of what it's designed for. Otherwise, it's not as efficient.
Yeah.
The more people you can get on a trip, the less vehicles there are on the road. So yes, they're short trips. It's only an 18 square mile area. But yes, if there's people along the way, it may stop and pick up those people.
Thank you.
Nishad, and then I'll come to you, Jen.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions, and you've answered it, but I had a few phone calls over the weekend about this. And how much is this costing the city of Sugar Land taxpayers, or is this all federally funded and funded by the county?
Yes. Well, we will get fares, but that fare revenue will be deducted from our monthly bill. So it's going right back into the service.
Okay, follow up, Mayor. The $1.5 million for the first year, is there a limited number of rides? Because it's a one-year contract. Will we go till January of next year and say, well, we can't do this anymore because we're out of funding?
No, it's based on the amount of drivers, vehicles on the road, and the service hours. Okay. So they can do unlimited trips. It's not based on mileage.
Perfect. And then the final one, you said March 18th is when we go live. Will the cars be wrapped and ready to go, and the app on the Google Play Store and everything be ready then?
Yes, that's why this tonight is very important.
Very good. Thank you.
Jennifer.
Hi, that was a lot of work. Thank you for all your work. And could you explain why we decided to go this way instead of, say, contracting with Uber? Why is this better?
Well, for one thing, I don't think that the CMAQ grant would cover something like that, because we have to utilize electric vehicles for this service. That's one of the stipulations of the CMAQ grant. Now, we can use hybrid vehicles for the wheelchair accessible minivans, because it's very difficult to get wheelchair accessible electric vehicles. So as long as they're hybrid, that's okay. The second thing is Uber is not a shared ride. You pay for that trip, that's your trip only. It's more like a taxi service. So, and this also, the drivers are vetted. They do have background checks. They go through all of the trainings, because part of the requirements was that they do it at Federal Transit Administration caliber vetting of drivers, so that if in the future we were to go after that kind of money, we already have established their training and all the requirements, drug testing, all that is included. So they're better than they have to be.
Thank you.
William.
Well, once again, we're leading. Keep it up. I know we've met about this more than once, and as I see this unfolding, I think the first question is going to be, and I know you're going to cover it in your marketing, but who gets to ride this, right? Because I'll be honest with you, I think this would be cool to ride it at least once. I think it's affordable. I like that we have the grants that help afford the ride, but what I'm picturing is anytime it's related to an app, believe it or not, I still talk to people that are on a landline. So a lot of those folks might want this, and I'm sure there's a hotline they can call. And so I'm just another example of us leading. Thank you for this idea, because I know our community is going to benefit from it. Good work.
Yes, there's a dedicated phone line just for people to call in if you're not tech savvy, or you can also pay cash, so you don't have to have a bank account or a credit card. You can just pay cash and use the phone.
Suzanne.
Thank you. I have a comment, not a question. So this is one of those things that we need to look at and say, we've done something spectacular here by bringing a service to our city that just is going to do a great job for so many people that need it. And I want to thank our mayor, first of all, for sitting on the Transportation Policy Council, fighting for this money, because there's a lot of people looking for it, and our staff who put together a program and the CHIP program and really went after something to gather these funds for us, because that takes, I see you shaking your head back there, Jesse, this takes a lot of work to put together for us to get this funding. In our county, this is that regional relationship we have. that gets that county funding, so we don't have to spend the money to bring these services to our city. Great job, thank you. Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Got a motion by Watley, a second by McCutcheon. Any other questions?
I do want to do one follow-up.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What is the alternative? Like right now, and I don't know what the study has produced as our most common user of this ride. Maybe it's a 45-year-old female or male. I don't know what the market result was. But here's my curiosity. What's the alternative? Is it Uber? Is it walking, bicycle? I mean, what's the alternative for our resident?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people don't drive. Either they can't drive or for whatever, they choose not to. USDOT has come up with a figure that's approximately 30% of the population. So you just don't see the need. But I worked for Fort Bend Transit before coming here. So I've talked to these people for 10 and a half years on the phone that tried to schedule rides. They have a demand response service that's within the county where it's a dial a ride, but you have to schedule it at least a day in advance or up to 10 days in advance. There's nothing day of. If you get released from the hospital, if you have a doctor's appointment, you got to take your kids, you got to go to the pharmacy. There's nothing day of available except for Uber or walking or biking or asking a neighbor for a ride.
So you're telling me one of our residents could actually take this ride to city council meetings, right? Look at that.
Yes, because it runs until 9
We win
p.m.
again. I love it. Thank you.
More involvement. That's great.
You got a motion and a second. If you'll vote at this time, please. And it passes 7-0. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Melanie. Item number 5, workshop. 5A, review of and discussion on proposed revisions to the Code of Ethical Conduct. We have with us our own city attorney, Meredith Reedy. Meredith.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to invite 3 other representatives from the Independent Ethics Review Board down. Amy, Andrew, and Chris, if you could come join me, please. Hi. This is your work. I want y'all to get credit for this and answer the questions as we go.
Credit, not blame.
All right. So this is their comprehensive review and recommendations. So a little bit of history. Back in 2016, you appointed a citizen task force to conduct a 10-year review. Mr. Wolf was on that. We are fortunate enough that he was on that review as well as this review. 2017, you went ahead and adopted that board's review. 2023, you appointed this new task force and you used your Independent Ethics Review Board as this task force. They've used their experience over the last few years to come up with a few recommendations for you. So they've met 11 times. All meetings were open to the public. There are 4 substantial revisions we're going to discuss with you tonight, 8 minor revisions, and a handful of clarifying revisions. The revisions are things such as turning city secretary into city clerk, his or her to their, adding some grammatical errors and typos that I had from the last time. So let's start with the substantial revisions. It's going to be a new section 2-98, ex parte communications. This is what it looks like. You can't go behind closed doors, talk to people. You have to do it all in public so the public can see what's going on. If you have questions along the way, wave your hands and stop, and I'll let the experts here who came up with this wonderful stuff explain their rationale to you. Come on, Chris. New section 102, retaliation. This also prohibits anybody from retaliating against somebody for reporting or participating in an investigation or a hearing. And I just want to point out these are not based on experiences we've had here in the city, but actually in reflection to several newspaper articles that they have reviewed over the time. So section 2-104, reconsideration. This allows new evidence to be presented within 14 days, so the board can have a chance to have another bite at the apple if additional information is brought forward. And then they completely revamp the name clearing proceedings. Rather than having a full-blown appeal based on that, they can just say, hey, write me a statement, post it in the paper, post it on the internet webpage, saying that you in fact dismissed everything and I didn't make a violation. Are there any questions?
Councilmember.
Love it. Minor revisions, ethical values. This is at the very beginning. They have suggested adding just this one sentence. It says officials have the responsibility to conduct themselves in a professional and ethical manner and embrace the principles of honesty, accountability, respect, and trust. It's not enforceable, it's just part of the ethical values, gives a framework as to what we expect our boards and commissions and city council members to behave under. Definitions, they've added a definition of de minimis. This is important because they went back and made a change to the disclosure of gifts. It's not listed, but it says de minimis gifts, such as those freebies you pick up at various conferences, little stress balls and everything, do not have to be on your report because who knows the value of one of those little squishy stress balls. They add the definition so that you don't have to find out. Conflicts of interest, they went ahead and added substantial debtor or creditor to the list of persons considered to have a financial relationship with an official that would need to be disclosed. They've also added conflicts of interest in 279 that if you have a COI and an abstention related to campaign contributions. So right now we only have campaign contributions related to legal actions of $25,000 or more, excluding attorney's fees. Now they're saying that they want to make sure that it's very clear to the public that nobody is buying your vote, so that if you receive a campaign contribution from one individual of $2,500 or more, and their item is on the agenda, that you go ahead and feel that conflict of interest and walk out the door. They just want to make sure that everybody knows how honest you really are. And then 2-78, I think it was already in there. This just clears the language up that you're not going to take a gift as a bribe. So restrictions applicable to former officials. It links in the time prohibiting from entering into significant contracts with the city from 13 months to 24 months. You may recall that a significant contract is one of $1,000 or more. This is important because of two other places in the code, representations and appearances, are 24 months. They would like it to be consistent so that you have the same time period for all three items. This has yet to be an issue in the entire time we've had the code, but I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Additionally, campaign activity, it removes the 10% ownership threshold for the lawsuit. So if someone is suing the city, you no longer have to say, how much of this business do you own? 5%, 10%, 20%? If they are part owner of any percentage, then you cannot accept that campaign contribution. So the Independent Ethics Review Board has added some provisions regulating their hearings and their procedures. They want to be able to dismiss a complaint as frivolous if the information that is submitted is incomplete or unsubstantiated. And so that just gives them an option as far as not just dismissed for incompleteness, but they can actually say it's frivolous. They also want to dismiss it if a complaint refuses to cooperate. They don't want someone to file a complaint, have their public hearing, get everybody together, do the fact finding, and then the person with the pertinent information fails to show and doesn't want to participate. And they also want the opportunity to refuse to hear a similar complaint based on substantially same evidence if it's already dismissed by the board. So that was all of their hard work, 11 meetings summarized. You also had a red line attached to your agenda so you can see the magical language. Catch my typos if you see anything. So this is your opportunity to ask the experts as to why they're making these recommendations and let us know which ones you'd like to see on a future agenda.
Question? So Meredith, this is a non-action item, so I presume that what's going to happen if there's no comment from the council, we accept the recommendations, which I'm comfortable with, that we can go one at a time to folks, then that will come back for an action item at a future council meeting, our next council meeting.
Yes, sir, it'll be on your April Fool's Day council agenda for first reading.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
I'm excited for it, yes, sir.
Well, thank you all for your service. I mean, this seems to me to be pretty common sense. I mean, some of the things I think that came up were identified, I guess, from what Meredith was saying, by other cities or articles that have been written where others, Lord forbid that we would have to go through that in order to identify it. I'd rather identify it in another city and then us adopt it, to prevent that from happening here.
One of the things that Meredith does is we meet every 3 months, and she has cases from cities all over the country for us to examine and say, is that something that we need to address? So we're not just, like everything else Sugar Land does, it's not just, oh, we're responding, we're out ahead looking for stuff, constantly making sure that our document is as bulletproof as it can be.
Thank you. William?
This type of information that's being provided, I don't think the average citizen has any idea of how good and effective it is at keeping our, each one of us, our elected officials, in a very transparent position of you're not going to hide anything. If someone's out of line, it's going to be found. And our city is really good at it. And the reason I have to bring it up is I believe there are behaviors in other cities that this would root out a lot of problems. And so as I go through this, and I know some people in here are probably just glazing over right now, everyone asks for transparency all the time. Everyone asks that the elected officials are being held to this high standard. I can assure you folks, when you go deep on this stuff, you start to realize that how truly transparent this really is. And we're aware of it, and we appreciate the work you're all putting in. I know this is a lot of time. Sorry this is a run-on sentence, but thank you for keeping us transparent and also setting the rules in place that we're not approached with this misbehavior. Thank you.
Everybody comfortable? Okay. Yeah, if you'll bring it back. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Item number 5B, review of and discussion on the Police Department 2024 annual report. We have with us Chief Mark Poland, our Chief of Police. Mark?
Good evening, Mayor.
And I guess really, technically, it's really Chief Pete Laura,
yes, sir.
Our Chief of Police. Congratulations, Pete.
Thank you.
And Mark, congratulations on your promotion also.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Pete and I are going to share this report tonight, okay? I'm going to tackle the first half, and then Pete will take over the second half. But please, any questions, stop us, let us know. I do want you to know, as we sat down as command staff and started to put together this report, it was challenging. It was difficult. 2024 was an incredible, successful year for the police department. I mean, at all levels. The 200 plus people that work there, we tackled this as a team, as one team, and we have celebrated our successes together, and then we circle back and look at our failures and our challenges together, and that is why it's been so successful. But so full disclosure, when we first put this report together, I think we had 100 slides, and we came back and we said, okay, that's not going to work. So we cut it down, but we tried really hard. This is a snapshot, just a snapshot of 2024, okay? So I can't stress that enough, and the success that took place from everyone from civilian staff to sworn staff. So I'm going to dive right in here. Let's see. We'll do a quick overview. I'll jump into some statistics. Pete will go into goals and challenges. And I'm going to start with the Operations Bureau. There's a motley looking crew right there. Most of the patrol division right there. And so just over 77,000 calls for service. One of our performance measures is that we do meet 80% of those priority one calls in less than 7 minutes. We did that with 83%. You can see the citations. Those are issued just by patrol. I'll get into the rest of the citations as well. But a snapshot again for the whole department. We took another year of a high visibility approach. And that's what we want to deliver to the citizens here in Sugar Land, is a high visibility approach. And that's reflective of the 90 weapons arrests, the 211 drug arrest cases, and the 320 DWI arrests. But that's all just from a very high visible, proactive approach. I want to touch on the CAD Motorola project here. This project actually started before 2022, before I came on the job. However, it's so critical and so important. It's a game changer in the records and computer dispatch world. The Motorola system, we're part of a consortium, but this, the bulk and the meat potatoes of the work from the men and women in the department took place last year to get this up and running. We're going to go live this month. So just a tremendous amount of work from everyone in the city, everyone in the department to make this happen and to be successful. I want to highlight Officer Washington. He was recognized by Mothers Against Drunk Driving with 60 DWI arrests alone on himself. That is tremendous. He, and I do want to, you can see the quote by Lieutenant Bullock there. He's saving lives. He's saving lives with those 60 DWI arrests. It's all about keeping us safe. It's just keeping the drivers and the citizens safe. So tremendous work from Officer Washington on that one. Many of you may remember this arrest that occurred one afternoon at our mall. And if I'm remember correctly, this came out as a possible active shooter type event because of the noise and the smashing of the glass display cases that the offenders did here. But the reason I want to highlight this, again, one snapshot of years and hours worth of training that the police department has put together. In less than 5 minutes, dispatch took almost 90 calls, just one after another. They're dispatching those calls. We've got supervisors coordinating perimeters. We've got officers showing up on foot, setting up perimeters. We ended up in a small foot pursuit. I believe we ended up in a small vehicle pursuit as well. And in less than 5 minutes, we ended up arresting these 3 individuals for what they took over $160,000 worth of jewelry and property out of our mall. It's not going to happen here in Sugar Land. It's just a snapshot of how our training pays off. And when we talk about the training and the number of hours that we have to do, these are the results. But this is what the citizens deserve here in Sugar Land. Tremendous work on behalf of the officers and civilian staff. We'll get into technology here a little bit. We talk a lot about drones. Drones are now and the future. We keep adding to the drone unit. We keep adding to our command vehicles for drones. We deploy them on so many different events. You can see, although 302 hours may not feel like a lot of flight hours, but 1,300 flights is a lot of putting drones up in the air to protect and serve and keep our people safe and keep our citizens safe. Our team is so successful and so professional. You can see we're asked by several different people from the county, from Austin, Texas Football Championship to NCAA asked for assistance in Houston from our team here in Sugar Land. They're surrounded by the mega Houston Police Department, but they're coming to our guys and gals, and they know the services they're going to get from our people, the professionalism, the level of training they have, the commitment, the dedication. They really are setting the industry standard with what they're doing. It's great work. Snapshot there of our SWAT team. Very proud of our officers, the guys and gals that are on the SWAT team. They are so dedicated and so committed to what they do and the volume of training that they do to put their lives on the line, to serve these high-risk searches, to serve and assist the FBI when the FBI wants help. They're calling and asking, and our officers and our tactical team. I'm going to get a little bit into the SWAT team a little bit more. They are some of the most dedicated and committed individuals I've ever met in my almost 30 years on the job, and my hat's off to them for the work that they do. It's amazing work. Our K-9 unit, likewise. I'd like to bring to your attention here the total number of deployments. We have 2 K-9s, but yet over 111 deployments in 1 year with 44 suspects apprehended. Now, the apprehensions are not necessarily bites, but just the presence of the K-9 in the successful apprehension of an offender. That's how you want it to end. That's a successful apprehension there. We also, our K-9 unit we've partnered with a local business here, and we acquired the Apex Roman R7 drug spectrometer up there. I do want to highlight that. What is so amazing about this new technology, back in the days when I was on the street, and if I stopped a car and you find a suspected narcotic, a powder, something of that nature, You had to manipulate it with your hands and test it with your hands. This is literally, technology now lets us just literally shoot a laser into the product, keeping our officers 100% safe. They will never touch this. Fentanyl is in everything now. We never even come into contact with us or with the product. And that's from right here in Sugar Land, and our officers are trained in it. They use it every day, and it's keeping our officers safe. But successful prosecutions with that. Our special response team, you've seen many of them here assist with our council meetings. We have events. What I want to highlight here is the fact that we did just sign an MOU with Houston PD to train and support them. Once again, that partnership between Sugar Land Police Department, 181 officers partnering with the police department of over almost 5,000 officers, and they're still looking to us for help and support. It's just another identifying factor of the level of services that our community is receiving from our police department here. Criminal investigations. So for the year, just over 1,200 cases filed with the district attorney's office. The detectives and the work that they're doing, the clearance rate, 32%. That's unless you're involved in the day-to-day work that may not mean much to you. But in law enforcement, a 32% clearance rate of closing out a case by arrest is very high, is very good. It's very productive. You can see the national average is just over 23% there. And the detectives that you have working for you here in this city are over 32% clearance rate. I want to highlight a couple things here. New formation of our crime suppression team, newly formed, kind of a hybrid detective patrol team that we've put together. They get additional training, they get additional how to use technology, how to use the flock cameras additionally, surveillance, different tactical operations they get into. So if there's a problem that we need to address, if there's a crime trend, a new pattern or something to that effect, we can assign this team to that, in addition to supporting patrol, in addition to using the detectives, but they get extra training in surveillance, extra training in field takedowns, tactical arrests, things of that nature. So that's up and running now. Got our first polygraph examiner trained, and Detective Joins. She's doing amazing work. First one here for the city as well. And I'd also like to highlight a brand new internship program that we did with George Ranch High School. So these two high school students came in, and we've had them for the entire semester, and it's actually very rejuvenating having them come in, and we assign them to some projects. One of the first ones we did is the top one there, Clearview AI program. We set them out and said, hey, start researching this. This is an investigative tool that assists detectives essentially through open source facial recognition, right? But there was a lot of legwork behind this, a lot of research involved in this. Our detectives were super assigned to it, but our two high school students did all the work. They did all the legwork, all the prep, all the research, all the proposals, helped with identifying the funding, everything to where we purchased this software. And this software, it's actually created a lot of extra cases now for our detectives because we're identifying a lot of individuals that we may not have before just through open source. So great partnership with the high schools, great work from the high school students, and it really paid off. You want to touch on the same thing?
Yeah, sure. Good evening, Council Mayor. I just wanted to hit on some of these cases. These are some high-profile cases that we had throughout the year. The 2021 murder that's up there, that if you remember, that was a gentleman at the WB Food Mart. That suspect himself received 18 years. We wanted to hit also on aggravated assault of Officer Munoz. That's when Officer Munoz was up on the freeway and was hit by a drunk driver. In that case, that suspect received 10 years. And the multiple carjacking case of 5 suspects, those were the guys that were going around carjacking folks, not only here, but outside the city. Our detectives led that case, resulting in 12 years for 5 suspects.
All right, our forensic services unit. A couple key points here, key takeaways. One, the evidence processed, over 5,000 pieces of evidence just for the year. And then on top of that, we have who has called for our assistance are DPS, the District Attorney's Office, pretty much every surrounding local municipal law enforcement agency has called and asked our forensic services, the guys and gals that work in that unit, for our help in processing their scenes. They're one of the only accredited, they are the only accredited forensic services team in Fort Bend County. They're that good. One more example of setting the industry standard and just how hard they're working to serve and set the services apart. They processed over 108 phones. Again, we have the FBI asking for our assistance, the Texas Rangers asking for our assistance, and many, many, many more when it comes to processing digital evidence. This is time, it takes time, it's tedious work. There's a ton of legwork on the back end of analyzing the data. Once you're able to actually get in and retrieve the data, then all the legwork begins. So our team is by far the best. Just a quick snapshot there of our motors training. They work hard. For a small unit, you can see just the motor unit themselves were responsible for almost 27,000 traffic stops, keeping our motorists safe here in the city. Just those guys and gals assigned to that motor unit alone. They issued just over 60% of all of our citations, responded to well over 400 accidents, and 37 of those are alcohol related. Do want to highlight Officer Reyes. Man, my hat is off to her. After a very long battle, personal battle with herself, as soon as she got cleared to come back to work, light duty, she did. But what she did as soon as she got back to work, not only in preparing to get back on the motorcycle and serve, she cleared over 113 investigations, failed to stop and give information investigations. She's working her butt off. And we're so happy to have her back. Officer Weatherly helped her get back on the training side of the motorcycle as well. Victim Assistance Program, I believe I touched on this last year as well. 544 victims assisted, and that's whether it's follow-up housing or mental health services, family services, but this is one individual. Say we have a victim services unit, but it's one gal that's following up with all of our victims on our domestic assault cases, on our family violence cases, and she does tremendous amount of work. Our Honor Guard, you saw those folks this afternoon at the State of the City. Happy to say this year, and I know Pete was a huge part in this, but we're going to get our Honor Guard for the first time to D.C. to represent Sugar Land Police and represent Texas this May for Police Officer Week in D.C. this year. So that's pretty exciting. So I know they're excited to go and represent. They'll represent as well. Okay, EOC activation, emergency operations activations here. So 21 activations over 120 days, the EOC was active. The big takeaway here, most of those are special events and then weather related. 98 of those days were level 3 or below. The key here though, what I want to also touch on, our emergency management team is 3 folks. It's just 3 individuals, but they are pivotal. I believe Paige is here and I believe Caroline's here. I did not see Jared, but again, my hat is off to these 2 young ladies and how they collaborate and bring our entire city together during these events and coordinate and collaborate and plan and prepare. They're the best. They're the best in the area, and we're very blessed to have them here. A lot of these events some are planned events, and obviously some are not, barrel, things of that nature, but they do tremendous work. And here's a little bit of information on Barrel. It was a 62-day activation, and we did activate a citywide labor pool for that, for response and recovery. But that was all done by these folks back here. Our budget, just under $30 million. I do want to bring up a couple things here, what I wanted to talk on this slide about. One is the overtime reduction. We didn't lose money in overtime and for the budget. We just took a new approach to how we are spending our overtime. But here I just want to highlight the patrol captain. I want to highlight Larissa, our financial manager, and then our lieutenants on the patrol. Our lieutenants on the patrol are the ones that are, and supervisors on patrol are the ones responsible for just the $400,000 in reduction in overtime. They're working smarter. They're planning better. They're using our resources better. They're deploying resources better. And it's just, it's indicative of the culture that is taking place through the department. The other piece I wanted to touch on, you're familiar with our GO bonds, was the last one, the SWAT command vehicle. That is up and running. We're working on that very hard. 2 years ago when I came here, I knew right away I wanted to have our own tactical team. We have a very strong relationship, a very good regional team right now, but I want Sugar Land to have its own. And the citizens, I think the citizens deserve that, and the citizens should have that tactical team and that tactical response, that level of professionalism from here, and we're on our way to doing it. Pete?
Yeah. Take it away from here. So I'm going to keep it. Yeah, that's fine.
You want it?
So up here, the Technical Services Bureau, I jumped in on the Technical Services Bureau part of this as it is the last assignment I had before the promotion. When we formulated the Technical Services Bureau, traditionally there's an Operations Bureau and there's a Support Services Bureau to every police department. We wanted to encompass something different and look at technical services. It would encompass a piece of support services, but what do we do beyond that? We wanted to start leveraging technology, looking at that. We formed a technology committee to go out there and explore. It was an idea born from myself and Captain Thompson, where we attended IACP conference. I think the most valuable piece of information out there is that we were not in the loop with a lot of the technology that was out there and how we could leverage that towards our advantage. A lot of great information there, but the value was there. We brought that back and created a tech committee that all they do is explore this kind of stuff. They work with other departments in the city, like data and innovation, to make things happen. We were able to accomplish putting all our in-car cameras, body cameras on one platform versus a bunch of other, equipment not talking to each other and causing disruption with the work product that our guys were putting out. That was the goal of the Technology Bureau. Or Technological Services Bureau. Part of that, I do have crime prevention where I'm exploring, looking at things differently with crime prevention as I take the reins from Chief Poland. He did a lot of great things here. We just wanted to highlight a common theme in this presentation was being sure that we recognize the faces behind some of these programs. Crime prevention had 128 registered parties for National Night Out with over 5,000 attendees estimated. At Project Lifesaver, Chief Poland brought that from Loudoun County. It was a program that we jump-started here, and we're up to 7 Project Lifesaver clients. We sit there and look at these calls for service every day and seek out opportunities to continue to grow that program as we read these reports and be sure that we can offer that program out to the folks that need it. CRAZE, Sergeant Pino does a phenomenal job of getting out there and teaching CRAZE to the community in order for them to be able to respond to active aggression. 44 CPA graduates with 2 classes. There's one going on now. So as soon as the Citizens Fire Academy folks are, now that they've graduated, they can come in and jump in on that one. One thing that we are proud of is that Teen Academy, creating those those advocates at the student level, and go back and understand what we do as a police department and know how to go back and be those advocates for us and bring a real perspective at that young level to their peers. 35 school-related events and career days, over 1,500 Meals on Wheels delivered. We're proud of that program as well. And over 300 child seats installed. I know there's a couple of folks that hit me up today on some child seats. Here, we wanted to highlight the public safety extravaganza. I don't know what it means with Talyard, but apparently we set a serving record for them. So whatever that means, I know that it was a successful event for us. It was a huge attendance, great turnout. I know that folks were unexpected. Some of them wanted to just have a good afternoon out at Talyard and happened to come upon this, and it was a great time for family. OEM was out there, Public Works, Fire, great great initiative on our part. We want to continue to highlight those community engagement parts as we head into 2025 and 2026. Red and Blue United, raising funds for the needs of the department. How can we better service our folks, and leveraging our community partners to get that over $400,000 raised for fire and EMS this year. Again, Talliard Brewery for hosting.
It's very clear we all want to provide the best care for someone in a mental health crisis. It's very difficult and painful for someone to have to go through that, and combine that with the judicial system. We want to make sure people are safe and getting care. So today, one of the main things that we covered was emergency detention, transportation, and ways we can work together to move forward to overcome some of those barriers that maybe we didn't realize they were there, or maybe we didn't realize how big that they were.
So a couple years back, I jumped into a mental health. It was one of those, hey, last minute, can you jump into this meeting over on Teams? I jumped into this meeting. And as we dive into mental health, what I wanted to highlight, the most important thing is, sometimes we get those assignments and we jump in and don't know what we're getting into. And I actually found a lot of value into this Teams meeting that we joined specifically on mental health related to looking at gaps in the community. Like, where are the gaps in providing folks the best services that we could in mental health? And it gave me a different perspective. Like, as we approached mental health, we thought, okay, we've got law enforcement, we've got hospitals involved, we've got everything we need. And sitting through that meeting, I realized, no, we don't, in the community out there. One of the things we wanted to push is, as a city, as an industry standard going towards that program, bettering that program in mental health, is getting the people that were passionate within the PD and giving them that project to expand on and identify those gaps and bring people together. I just wanted to highlight the amazing work that Officer Moreno has been doing here. I know Councilwoman Jennifer Lane is very familiar with this. These are the community partners that she has been able to develop, get together, identify gaps, and work towards bridging those gaps. Everything from Texana to all our local hospitals, Voyages, the Suicide Prevention Task Force, Fort Bend County Behavioral Health, and the Health and Human Services for the county. Here's where our program is slowly expanding as we work towards providing better services here. Brittany Moreno initially started as our only crisis intervention team person, and she has killed it. Honestly, she has done such a phenomenal job in there, and it quickly became apparent to us that there's a need there for more. Currently, Officer Tommy Wofford was the second person to join her as full-time CIT on the evening shift. We wanted to be sure that we covered as much as we could on day shift and evening shift to be able to provide those services where these guys get the special training. Not to say that all our officers get the CIT training that they need to be able to provide these services, but we wanted these two specifically dedicated to that, to where they wouldn't be drawn away with a different call for service that wasn't mental health related, and they could actually spend that time giving somebody the help that they need. And then we identified some other folks on patrol where this is a collateral duty for them. So not only are they answering regular calls for service, but they are heavily involved in the CIT team. As you can see here, 2,400 calls for service that were welfare concerns, handled by 2 full-time officers and 5 collateral duty. Officer Moreno, again, we're very proud of what she has done with this program. She was selected to serve as vice president of the Texas CIT Association, and Officer Candler was selected to serve as the Region 2 director. New hires, very proud of this program. We tried to go out on a limb and start a lateral program. It has proven successful for us. With 18 new hires, 776 applicants. So that tells you we're still looking for the best. We just a little bit over 2% of those folks got hired on and brought on with us, including on the lateral side. We wanted to highlight some of the initiatives. We sent Officer Partita to Camp Pendleton to give those folks that were coming out of the military an opportunity to serve the city of Sugar Land. Leverage social media to execute in innovative ways. One of the best things we did is expand, or actually from the ground up start that program. Chief Poland came to me with an idea. Honestly, blank slate is how we approached it. And we picked up Devin and Alicia, who have done a phenomenal job on social media and helping us utilize that and leverage that to not only showcase the great work that our folks are doing, but look at the programs that we currently have and how do we expand on that. We established the competitive step pay grade systems. We were heavily involved with that. And there were some promotions, 4 sergeants, 1 lieutenant, 1 captain, and assistant chief. As we dive back into recruiting, some of the things that we wanted to do is look at how efficient that was going to be for us. In 2023, 80% of our hires were recruits who needed to go to the academy. Depending on where we sent them, that could be anywhere from $1,400 to $3,000 per applicant. The lateral program saved us on money. In 2024, half of the folks that we hired were lateral, either in-state or out-of-state folks that we brought in, resulting in $390,000 of savings to the city. The cost reduction of 46% to get an officer on the street, and time to deployment was a 65% reduction. Since they already had experience, all we had to do is show them how we do it in Sugar Land. Multiple years of experience is what we gained out of that. Here is for training. We just wanted to highlight on a high level, we hosted the Texas Sergeant Academy. They have done a phenomenal job in bringing training. Captain Suiters behind this with his team. That training team is one of a kind. I'm telling you, the multiple hats that they wear between training, hiring, recruiting, they do a phenomenal job. We've had TEACS reality-based instructor, radar and LiDAR instructors. 2 of our team members acquired master TASER instructor certification, the only 2 in the county. And now that we have gone to Axon TASER 10, shoots 10 cartridges at a time, these guys are the only 2 that know how to teach other people how to utilize that in the county. And then we are working towards our TCOL provider application. We've already submitted that. We are trying to become a provider in the region. That's a goal that Captain Suter has hit the ground running on. If you see there, 73 days of internal training, 57 days of external training. What that means is how many have we hosted and how many have we sent out, like total kind of big picture there. The state mandates that we do 40 hours of training every 2 years. We nearly double that. And to give you a perspective, we train at 1 out of every 3 days. So that was a major push by that division. Command Competency Lab, we're very proud of this. This was an idea that Chief Poland brought to us. Now, we continue that program. We continue to grow it. We're trying to branch out to our area partner law enforcement agencies, the school districts, to bring them on board. What Command Competency Lab does is it gives those supervisors a perspective of what it feels like to respond to any type of active shooter event or something with a high stress level that puts them in the hot seat without the big planning of an actual large scale event. And that goes the bells and whistles of that, we cut it all out. And what we ended up identifying and kind of relating to it when Chief Poland came on board and presented this is every time we held one of those large scale things, the planning that went behind it, everything resulted in communication. Like what did we learn here? Where were we deficient? It was communication. So that cuts out all that and just focuses on the communication. We work with our fire department partners as well and are pretty close to a maintenance phase. We started pushing all our folks into it. After a while, it becomes a maintenance thing where we just put them in there to keep them fresh. It's unique and innovative, and we are very proud of that program. The detention center, we wanted to highlight, we have 1 new detention hire, Officer Benford, 1,406 bookings in our detention center with 2 jailers completed field training school and 1 new hire on the horizon. Kalia, I'm pretty proud of this. When I jumped onto the Technical Services Bureau, we were right at our 4-year review for our 8th accreditation. That's big. Over 400 standards that we meet to get accredited, and Sergeant Flynn has done a phenomenal job. We have already moved into the 9th cycle and completed our first year's assessment successfully, and he's pretty close to finishing up the second year already, and we're only 3 months in. The animal shelter, we wanted to highlight some of the collaboration, interdepartmental collaboration. We wanted to make sure that our team that spend time outside of the PD walls were recognized, and the value that was behind what they led. Over 2,000 hours spent as part of the Tiger team at the Animal Services. We sent 4 staff members, EOC folks, Caroline's back there, We sent Sergeant Rafe Rodriguez and Captain Zettelmoyer. Oh my God, the last one slipping my mind. And Sergeant Stroud right before he retired for more than 12 weeks to help, work with the animal shelter. And then Budget Task Force, Larissa's brilliant. She keeps us in line. She makes sure that our budget, that we're healthy. She spent over 250 hours on the budget task force and 70 hours spent on the finance task force. The PD, we're always willing to help any department. We do that fairly often, and it's something that we're going to continue doing. Fleet Services, or Sergeant Wynn, he's responsible for fleet. It's a huge undertaking. He's also our quartermaster. So he's responsible for that relationship with Ali over at Fleet Services, where he's replaced 8 vehicles, added 11 new Tahoes. We're looking at our fleet holistically and seeing how we can best leverage what we have while being efficient. We're utilizing holdovers for other programs. He's also worked on the record renewal contracts. We all know how that can be. We're looking at trying to explore in the future how we can change that where it would be most beneficial and easier to understand. We're finalizing, or actually it has been finalized, the 3rd canine vehicle, seeing that we have 2 canines and the weather in Texas, how bad it can be. And here we wanted that backup unit in case one of them goes down for whatever reason. And then we have leveraged grants to add 2 CIT vehicles to comply a little bit better with state law in how folks can be transported to medical facilities. We also leverage our partnerships with folks. Here's the Thin Blue Line Motorcycle Club. They came to us and asked what were our needs. They donated $5,000 in holster equipment as we transitioned to new belts that were a little bit easier on the back. They saw an opportunity to help us, so their foundation had a grant that they could put towards us. We're not the only agency in the area that received assistance for us, but there you see that they came and joined us and gave us 09 gear. I wanted to move towards gear that was a little more withstanding of conditions that our officers work in, get a little bit more longevity out of that, and they were more than gracious enough to help us reach that. Media relations team, this is again where I'm bragging on that social media team. We ended up hiring mid-year, Devin and Alicia, 2 civilian PIOs for lack of better terms. The first thing we hit them with is, hey, we want you to create communication avenues within the department. As one of the pillars for Chief Boland's communication, we wanted to ensure that we did everything we could to communicate effectively, and they hit it out of the park. They created the standard. I know many of you have seen that, where we make sure that information of everything that's going on in the department is relayed both internally and externally, and they've done a great job doing that. They maintain our department website, and I think they're doing some changes now with everything that's happened here recently. They are on track to acquire FEMA Advanced PIO certification in the spring. They have they've coordinated 17 TV media stories, which turns out to be about $2.14 million in earned media value. That means we didn't have to pay for that. We got covered for the great work that our men and women are doing at the PD. They're into everything. They're in tune with what's going on at the police department. One of the things we wanted to do is capitalize on social media to put out there what our folks are doing at the PD. We wanted to showcase that Sugar Land is the industry standard in law enforcement, and they're doing a great job about accomplishing that. This is a lot of information up here. This is where I would probably toss a football over to Devin so he can explain some of this, but this is really data associated to when they came in July, and some metrics that Facebook provides. What it boils down to, the best that I can explain it, is our media reach has grown so much with their work, both in Instagram, Facebook. Our reaches on the Instagram side, nearly 24,000 individuals. They've more than doubled our followers since they got here. They've only been here, less than a year. Same thing with Facebook. We've gained 6,000 followers while maintaining an interaction rate of more than 6%. they're killing it. That's one of the things that I wanted to highlight, is that as we work towards becoming that industry standard, I saw an opportunity there where not only as we highlight our work, it pats the guys on the back of what we're doing, but we're also letting the guys out there that maybe want to come to Sugar Land and not do good things, that we're on top of it. We're on top of our game. Crime stats, we'll jump into this here. So for the last couple of years, our crime rate has starting to drop here little by little bit. If you notice, one of the things we started to look at is on the proactive side. We're at 26.5 for the year, but in reality, we're at 23.5. What I mean by that is proactive arrest, the DWIs, the drugs, the guns. This is proactive work that your officers are doing, which bumps it up a little bit. It's nothing wrong with that or anything. Is that they're out there doing the work. These traffic stops generate statistics that end up bumping that crime rate, but that's because of good proactive work. If you took that proactive work out, it still drops. Does a decent job. They do a decent job of making sure that we're taking care of that. Sorry, I skipped one here. Crimes against persons, we had a total of 483 crimes. Most of that was driven by assaults. We looked at that. That was mostly, domestic violence assaults. Coming in second is just assaults, folks, fighting each other. I don't, whatever that means. Robberies, we had 28 robberies and 1 homicide. The 1 homicide, to refresh your memory, was the line of duty death for Joe Aponte that happened earlier 2024. Crimes against property. What's driving crimes against property is shoplifting. And our crime prevention folks are working with our businesses to try to help mitigate that. But burglaries, auto thefts, BMVs or burglaries of motor vehicles, those continue to be low, but the driving force is shoplifting. And then we wanted to highlight the folks' team building. I think Devin was bragging here a little bit, back-to-back champions in the City Wellness Basketball Tournament. Being involved, I think this was our first year being involved in the Munch and Mingle. We wanted to be a part of that team, get involved with the city. On the City Hall side, come out here and showcase, let our guys have a little bit of fun here. They're also bragging about a three-peat for the softball tournament. The chaplains have come out and cook some barbecue up for us, so we keep that relationship it's a great relationship with them. We had TMPA come out today prior to this meeting, fed all our officers, so we keep those partnerships going. No Shave November, miraculously, I won. So we did that to raise money for Angel Tree program. We ended up being able to cover all the kids that we have. I think we got everything that they wanted. So that was a great thing that our team worked towards. Goals and challenges for 2025. Continuing to push for that industry standard. I think we're there. We're getting there. If we're not there, we're getting there. Budget, maintaining that budget, being efficient, making sure that we're doing everything we can by leveraging grants, monitoring our budget, making sure we're doing the right things. The cost of technology every year over year, that goes up. As we explore AI and some of these other programs, we're looking at companies out there they're constantly bombarding us with, hey, there's this opportunity, but looking at those costs. Those are some of the challenges that we look at. Public safety complex curriculum as this training facility is set to open up, building that, what does that look like? How does that set us to the industry standard? The real dream is having our own academy, and pumping out officers that are high quality, that not only work for us, but our surrounding agencies. We're going to leverage the A&M Capstone project. We have partnered up with them to look at our patrol division solely and truly look at the amount of work that they do and see what data gives us on whether do we need more officers solely on patrol, or do we manage, do we have the lieutenants there, those watch commanders, manage their staff differently to get the best services we can to our folks. With that, thank you. As always, you guys have supported us. This is why these folks behind me do the work that they do. The support is unmatched, and we thank you for that. With that, Any questions?
Just a comment. You know, it seems like that, I mean, you guys are out in front of stuff. I mean, you're not managing it. You're driving your own growth in your department through coming up with more or less it's an overused word, but more or less proactive, developing, you know, using new technology, you know, the canine units. I know when Mike first brought it to us, I remember that whole discussion. Then you look at the results, and then you look at adding, as you said, you know, looking at adding a third unit. And then I think, you know, once we get the police and fire training facility, you know, up and running to where you guys can utilize that, I think that's going to make a huge difference, because rather than traveling out for training, you guys can do it there. The certifications that you're getting out of where you can train, you know, internally to where you don't even have to bring in an outside instructor even to train in our facility. I think that's huge. So I compliment you guys on doing that.
Thank you, Mayor.
William?
Okay. As a police officer, I have to ask you a question. From early in your presentation, our DWI Superman is all I can come up with right now. Did you say he filed 90 DWIs?
60.
How many?
60 DWIs.
In 1 month?
No, that's for the year 2020.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, I was doing the math while you guys were talking. I'm thinking, and I'm old and slow. In my entire police career, I don't think I could have ever done 60 DWIs. He did it in 1 year, and I don't think our community realizes. I'm guessing 4 hours a DWI-ish, maybe more, right? People don't realize that's 240 hours worth of DWI filing. And if they've never filed one, they have no idea how. And I need the other officers in here going, I'm probably not doing 60 ever. I'm just telling you, that's a big feat for our department. Second one, you brought up lateral wins. You were mentioning lateral wins. Chief, I got to say, you're a lateral win from another state, right?
I agree.
Yeah, I've only got a couple of points here. And our social media team in our police department, awesome. I mean, we talk about our social media. You guys are almost funny too. I mean, it's fun to read the police departments. And then the last one, you made a comment about the proactive work, and I wrote here. I said, don't take out proactive work, please. Sometimes department heads will try to make stats look better, and you did a good job of pointing out, if you try to make it look better, you literally have to turn our officers off.
Correct.
Please don't do that. You guys are so exceptional right now. And I think the mayor used the term, I may be wrong, top shelf. You guys are certainly top shelf police. You guys are doing a great job, and there could be more, but that's only 4. Thanks.
Thanks, Councilman.
Jen?
Well, Chief, did you get William's compliment on record? I hope you got that. Thank you so much for your leadership and everything that you do. I certainly see Sugar Land leading not just the county, but the region in the things that we're doing. A question that I had with the drugs that we're seeing, I mean, even though we've put together measures to decrease the amount of vape shops in the city, what is the trend that you're seeing in the types of drugs that you're finding?
We've seen it all. Honestly, everything from the THC oils to the THC candies to fentanyl, cocaine. That tool that Chief Poland hit on, that spectrometer, that was business that we worked with, a vendor here that we worked with in the city. And as soon as they heard that we started a canine program, they saw that was a great opportunity to leverage that tool. We've utilized that multiple times to identify drugs across the board from THC. It'll give you, I think, the 0.3% THC in the marijuana with how those statutes are written. That's where we're leveraging some of that technology that Tech Committee dives off into, and how important they are to do that, but we see it all.
What about can I do a follow-up?
Follow.
What about our education and communication strategies with schools? Because I know that drug dealers can make pills that look like anything. It could look like Adderall or an aspirin or a Tylenol. Is there any collaboration with our school districts?
We're all the time. I think I was
All the time.
just in there a couple of weeks ago. Actually, we don't forget about the other schools like St. Lawrence. I was there speaking with those kids, talking about not only career day, but they ask the best questions. Everything from when's the last time you shot somebody to, it's pretty cool being experienced or having that experience going in there and talking with these kids. But we also reiterate making good choices and what that means, whether that's staying away from drugs, saying no, those kind of things. And because they ask us, how did you become a police officer? And we always have that underlying theme of making good choices, no matter whether you want to be a police officer or not, but to be successful. And part of that element is staying away from drugs of any kind or the pressure surrounding around taking drugs, peer pressure.
Yeah. And also, I want to commend you on kind of leading the charge on streamlining that communication in the event that we do have an active shooter event, heaven forbid that ever happens here, because that's extremely important to know who's on first and what's on second in a situation like that. And the other thing, of course, yes, with the mental health initiative, I mean, that started with me. I see some candidates sitting here. I hope they're listening, because this is something that was very important when we were talking about trying to decrease the time, decreasing stress off of you guys and shortening your calls and streamlining that communication and processes with Texana and with judges signing warrants and so forth. When you're having this emergency detention order over the weekend and trying to figure out, because what I'm hearing is we have other agencies from around us bringing consumer to Sugar Land because the hospitals are here. And then we're called to get them from point B to point C. So I do, I'm super impressed with your mental health, your crisis intervention team initiative, because you're definitely leading in that. And I'm glad to know that all those meetings are still happening, those team meetings to keep that communication going. So I hopefully in the future, those processes will get more clarified with the county and make things easier on Sugar Land. But another question I had was, you have a victim services person that handles like when you have these calls, that's working in tandem with your CIT to when they encounter a consumer to get them the services that they need, because there's so many nonprofits in Fort Bend County that do and all types of services. It's hard for us to be able to direct someone, okay, you can go here to get this and you can go here to get that. She's
a huge resource, and like Chief Poland hit on, that's one person. And she, her main job is to lessen the impact of a violent experience, but she has gone outside of that to help, in CIT and all kinds of, she's a huge resource, not only that, but internally to our officers. She's available all the time to them to help provide any resources that they may come across that are needed out there as they answer these calls.
Okay. I think that was it. And thank you so much for your dedication and your professionalism. It's very much appreciated.
Appreciate that.
Carol.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an impressive report, and I truly think that you all are setting the standard. I had a question. 83% of the priority 1 calls had a response less than 7 minutes. Do you know offhand how it compares to the prior year?
We typically float around that average, anywhere from 84 to 85%. That's one of the metrics as we work with open data that we want to actually start showcasing, put it on our website. We update it quarterly, but it floats around the mid-80s. We do a fairly good job of staying within that 7 minutes or less.
Great, okay. And I'd like to thank Officer Washington for all of his DWI arrests, because that's truly saving lives.
Thank you.
And thank you to the entire police department for all that you do, all of your great work to keep Sugar Land safe.
It's all their great work. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Item number 6, City Council City Manager Report. 6A, City Council Member Report. Suzanne, let's start with you.
I knew you were going to do that, but I am ready. So I normally don't do 3 things, but I got to do, out of the 12 things I have here, I'm going to do 3 because they were so cool. So on the 23rd, Mr. Watley accompanied me to the Sugarland Chinese Association celebration, where I had the honor of bringing a proclamation to celebrate the Lunar New Year, and we had a fabulous time. I have not been to that before, but it was incredible. There was so much food, and we had so much fun. I want to thank you guys for inviting us. On February 27th, the mayor and I attended the Fort Bend Business Partnership, where we got to see our own Devin Rodriguez present an updated report on the Imperial Historic District acquisition, and she did a great job. So proud of you, Devin. Thank you. And on March the 1st, William, Carol, me, the Park and Rec, Kimberly, and Ryan, we went to the Sugarland Girls Softball Association. 32 years of softball at that place, and it has grown up so much. And I was talking to Kimberly. She started there as a private sector designer putting that park together. Can you believe that? 32 years ago. So anyway, congratulations, SLGSA, on 32 years. That's it.
Jennifer.
I have yielded my time to Suzanne.
William.
Well, I had a really cool experience last week on the 27th. Those of you that live in Sugarland especially, I don't know if you've taken the time to visit Seafood City. They threw an event called their Food Hall Fest, and it's basically a celebration of an exceptional business in our city. And those of you that have not been there, you may remember that that strip center, that business center, was vacant for a very, very long time. And Seafood City, the only one in Texas, I might have you, keep that business, in fact, not just their little location, that entire business strip packed with consumers, and they had a blast. Food, music, you name it. And I am so excited that Seafood City's in our city. Thank you.
Sean.
Mayor, on February the 23rd, Norman and I accompanied some of our businesses locally here in Sugarland to watch the Gypsy Kings at the beautiful Smart Financial Center. And secondly, I want to congratulate Chief Mark Poland on your promotion to ACM, and also Laura on your promotion as well. Chief, one problem I always had with Brinkley back in the day was I always called him Chief. Even though you're going to be an ACM, you're always going to be a Chief in my eyes. Congratulations to both of you.
Carol.
Thank you. I attended the Fort Bend Wildlife Rescue's fundraiser walk at Memorial Park, and they do a great job helping with injured wildlife in the area. And several of us attended the Chimney Stone HOA, and great job by Mayor and City Manager and all involved at the State of the City of Sugarland today.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. I, and I alone, without any assistance from any of my fellow council members, braved the opening ceremony of the Sugarland Little League, which was great. And then I, and I alone, without assistance from any of my fellow council members, attended for the entire meeting, I'm looking at you, the Fort Bend Mayor and council members meeting.
Yeah, we got to get participation back up on that. No, you got one. You'll have a proclamation. I'm going to yield my time, Mike. Let's move to item number B, the city manager report.
Yeah, Mayor, only thing I have was today was definitely bittersweet, participating alongside you with your last State of the City. And so it was an honor to do that. And you did a tremendous job, and very proud of that and being able to share that with you.
I appreciate you, buddy. Carol, talk to me. Motion to adjourn. We're going to adjourn at 7:16.